Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. Commissioner Laura Dominguez here, and I'm chair of the Public Safety and Neighborhood Quality of Life Committee, and I'm joined by the fabulous Stephanie Ray Brooks, our Assistant City Manager, Mark Taxis, and our Deputy City Attorney, Rob Rosenwald. And our Vice Chair, Alex Fernandez, is up in Tallahassee helping to fight some bills on behalf of our city, so thank you, Commissioner Fernandez, for that. And thank you to our committee member alternate who is here today, Joe Magazine, and Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez will be here soon, and Commissioner Suarez has a few items, so he's here today as well. Okay, so with that, Stephanie, do you have any announcements?
Good morning. Yeah, we have some items that are being deferred. We have item number 5, item number 10, item number 12, item 13, item number 14, item 16, item number 17, item number 21, item 22, item number 31, item 32, and item 33 that will be deferred to next month's meeting. We have a couple time certain items today. We have item number 4 will be heard at 10 a.m. We have item number 3 that will be heard at 10:15. Item number 6 and item number 9 will be heard at 10:30 together. And those are our announcements for the day.
Great, so let's get started with number 4.
Item number 4 is discuss the possible installations of aeroponic gardens at a location to be determined in the Convention Center campus. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Dominguez, and Economic Development will be presenting the item.
Good morning, Commissioner, Vice Mayor, colleagues. I'm Heather Shaw, Assistant Director, Economic Development. I'm here to talk about hydroponics or aeroponics at the Miami Beach Convention Center. In December of 2024, Commissioner Dominguez and Robin Jacobs and I were given a tour of the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, and they have a large aeroponic program that's within the Convention Center. It is state-of-the-art. It's where they grow inside the Convention Center herbs and vegetables and leafy vegetables, and it's a great demonstration of the sustainability of the Convention Center, and they use the produce from the garden to integrate it with their menus. It was really inspiring to us. It showed how sustainability can be integrated into something that can be educational, inspirational, and also can be cost efficient because it saves on having a garden outside. We have been trying for at least a year with growing a garden outside by the venue and the rum room, and if anyone has been by there, you can see it really attracts our iguanas. It's a little bit difficult to do, so we thought, why not do something on a smaller scale that do an aeroponic garden in the Convention Center or on the Convention Center campus. It's, again, a way to show sustainability. It helps with the competitiveness of the Convention Center. It's also educational. We can include the community to come in and see how plants are grown and how a garden is grown in a sustainable way. And it also can be used to incentivize clients who are now more interested in booking with a convention center that is more sustainable. The actual food would not be to the volume of feeding through all the events in the convention center, but it could help with the venue and the rum room, and there's some photos that I've added in the menu on how it can be used. I'm joined today by the Vice President of Sodexo, who is also our partner, and who started the program in the Orange County Convention Center, if you have any questions for him. And I'm open to questions. One of the things that we would like to do is explore doing this on the campus, and your direction on doing that. There's some costs associated with it. We think that they're very small given what it will yield in terms of reputation and the opportunity to make us stand out. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that information. I think we have public comment.
Yes, if we could unmute Robin Jacobs. Robin, you have 2 minutes to speak.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm Robin Jacobs, Chair of the Miami Beach Convention Center Advisory Board. At our January 14th meeting, the Advisory Board unanimously recommended that the Mayor and Commission support the funding, procurement, and implementation of small aeroponic gardens at the Miami Beach Convention Center. These gardens would cultivate lettuces, vegetables, herbs, and edible flowers, bring fresh, hyper-local ingredients directly into the center's culinary operations. Our inspiration came from the Center to Table Gardens at the Orange County Convention Center and Sodexo Live, currently the largest aeroponic garden public venue in the U.S. Commissioner Dominguez embraced the vision. Thank you so much. Together with Heather Shaw, we recently traveled to Orlando to see this innovative system firsthand. Their commitment, including a 6 a.m. Bright Line departure and same-day return, reflects the passion behind this idea. We believe this initiative aligns with Miami Beach's values of sustainability, innovation, and responsible sourcing. Beyond its environmental impact, the garden would provide fresh, nutrient-rich produce for use in catering and hospitality throughout the venue and run room, serve as a living educational showcase for eco-conscious event planners, visitors, and serve as an inspiration for local schools, including our Beach High culinary program. It would also enhance the convention center marketability as a green destination, setting a new standard for excellence in the hospitality industry. We respectfully ask for your support to move forward with exploration, budgeting, and planning, together with Sodexo Live, to bring this meaningful initiative to life. Thank you again for your support of this amazing initiative.
Any more public comment?
No more public comments.
Okay, colleagues?
I think it's fantastic, in addition to all the things that Ms. Jacobs just mentioned about the sustainability and everything that's very much in line with the direction that we're going in as a city. I also think it provides something unique to the convention center. I spent a lot of time there, and one thing that I kind of lament is not having anything incredibly unique that tells you that you're in Miami Beach. And I think this goes a long way towards that. So with that, happy to make a motion to refer this to the full committee, to refer to the finance.
Second. Yeah, great.
Seconded.
So by acclamation, we'll move this on to the full commission. And with that, we'll go to number one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 1 is discuss update on GeoBond log cabin project, and this will be presented by CIP, and it was sponsored by Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez.
Okay, Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez, this is your item.
As you all know, the log cabin was taken apart in, I believe it was 2018, December of 2018. Here we are 7 years later. We were able to get $1 million in GEO bond funding to put the log cabin back together. It is currently being stored on the site where the Kitty campus is, on one of the west lots, in air-conditioned containers. And it's time to put the log cabin, our historic log cabin that many residents love, back together. So I wanted to understand where we were in the project. I know we passed a resolution prioritizing the log cabin because it is so important to so many people. And I look forward to hearing what CIP has to say.
As I've said before, it's great when I come before you and I have good news. So I'm happy to be here this morning to give you a status update. The resolution you mentioned was passed because the log cabin was originally scheduled in tranche 2 of the GEO bond. That resolution allowed us to bring some money forward and utilize some funds. There was a budget amendment following that. They gave us some funding so that we can do that. At the commission meeting, I updated that we had been having a hard time finding a consultant that would take this project on. We had gone through 4 or 5 different consultants. The good news is we did make contact with a consultant that is interested, gave us a reasonable proposal. We've issued a purchase order. They've begun the process. We issued a notice to proceed for design, and they've begun their due diligence of looking at the pieces and getting the information they need so that they can start design.
And when do you project that they will begin, and when will we have the log cabin back together? Remantled, rebuilt.
The design and construction documents are scheduled to take approximately 8 months to complete, including review and approval by the Design Review Board. followed by 30 to 60 days for permitting, and then commencement of construction.
So a year and a half possibly?
Beginning of 26 is when we'll issue the ITB.
Okay, well, that's wonderful news. I'm looking forward to it, and now I have an answer from many of my constituents who care deeply about the log cabin. So thank you, that's great news. All right.
Do you want to close up this item and have you provide an LPC?
I don't think we need to take any action. You know what? I would actually like it to come back in 6 months and get another update, just to make sure that we're on track.
October?
October would be fine.
Okay.
That would be my motion.
Okay. Item 2.
Okay, item number 2 is discuss the relocation of the City Hall early voting site and extension of the early voting period for runoff election. This will be presented by the city clerk.
Morning, everyone. Morning, Commissioners. Morning, Vice Mayor. To recap, if everyone recalls, the Department of Elections required that all cities have 5 weeks between their general and their runoff election. At the March 12th meeting, I gave a preliminary recommendation, and this body asked me to do 2 things. See if the Elections Department would give us 4 early voting sites during the runoff, and to ensure that the parking at City Hall garage would be available during the runoff election. And the problem is that our runoff election coincides with Art Basel. So that is a problem that we're anticipating if we have a runoff election. We have worked closely with the Department of Elections, and they have agreed to give us 4 early voting sites as this body requested. So those 4 would be the North Beach Library, which we already have, City Hall, which we already have. In addition, it would be Muss Park and North Beach, and in addition, it will be the South Shore Community Center on South Beach. So where the traffic is most impacted, South Beach, we will have 2 early voting locations during the runoff. The idea is that if you couldn't drive, at least you could walk to most of these locations in South Beach because they're centrally located. The second thing that you asked me to do was to ensure that the short-term parking lot here at City Hall would be available for those voters who still wanted to vote at City Hall. That parking lot is normally used as valet parking for Art Basel. The parking department says that they have no problem. The elections come first. We will have that location as a parking site for the voters. So my request from you is discuss if this is acceptable, and if so, send it to the full committee so we can formalize that in a resolution.
Yeah, I feel like this covers all of Miami Beach pretty well.
Yeah, thank
Right?
you for
Thank you.
doing that.
Thank you.
Let's move the item.
Ralph, can I just ask one
Yes, sir.
question? Would there be any possibility to have something further south? Obviously, south of Fifth is a highly populated, dense area, and to provide a walking option in that neighborhood. And we have a lot of city property down there.
The problem is, well, we tried getting as close to Fifth. That's why we chose the South Shore Community Center, which is on 6th Street. But the statute requires that they be either community centers or city hall, or city halls or courthouses. So there's no other facility in that area except the South Shore Community Center.
A library, we have a library on Alton Road.
The problem is that the library on Alton Road, we looked at it. The parking is across the street. You would have to cross a large area. Plus, the library wouldn't be able to move the equipment they have where we would need. So the elections departments thought, based on parking, that we have an adjacent parking lot at the South Shore Community Center, and that we can shuttle anyone that, it's a small parking lot, ample enough for a runoff, but the workers could be parked at the 5th Street garage that we have there. So based on those logistics and the size of the large room at the South Shore, they felt that that would be the best location.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, and with that, no public comment, so we'll move it to the full commission. Item number 3 is up next. Discuss increase in graffiti stickering across the city of Miami Beach. This was sponsored by Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez, and Code and Facilities will be presenting the item.
Good morning. We've noticed an increase in people stickering, literally tagging city signs, electric boxes with propaganda, not just propaganda, but advertisements for their brands. and graffiti. And we had a constituent come to us who literally dedicates every single day to walking around the city and scraping off these stickers. He spends many hours. I'm sure you know who he is at this point, because I'm sure, have you ever, I'm not sure if you met him, but he came to our office, and it was really incredible to see how the stickering and graffiti is organized. It's not just random, it's certain artists that want to tag our bridges with these stickers and signs, and our what do you call it, the power boxes, and even in the new park. He recently sent us a photo yesterday of Morris Gibb Park that was already stickered by an artist. So we were hoping that we had some plan to get better at removal, but also in terms of what can we do to enforce this by adding more signs. I don't know. So by adding more stickers and signs, obviously not. But anyway, it's a real problem. So I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation to see what we can do to clean it up.
Hi, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Hernan Cardino, Director of Code Compliance. So I can tell you that over the last 2-year period, we did see an increase from 631 to 1,006 incidents where we have either stickering or graffiti. And over that 2-year period, we've referred 207 of these cases to our expert remediators in facilities to either paint over or remove these. What we're doing now is, we're just adding it to an area of focus for our neighborhood code officers. That's what it boils down to. I know police also has made some significant arrests recently where they arrested a tagger, and then his tag was recognized in some other parts of the city, so additional charges were added. But
Well, it's not hard to seek out these taggers, because literally they're putting their websites or hashtags or handles on the stickers. So I think we need to really get better at following up when we see that every single park is tagged, or, you know, across a neighborhood, all of the signs are tagged with the same artist or the same brand. I think somebody should just be dedicated to this at this point.
So just additional background, when we do get the hashtags, we do trace it back. A lot of times it's promoters, and we issue those violations also. For graffiti abatement, you all changed the ordinance recently, and it's 48 hours for commercial and non-commercial properties. Before it used to be 10 days or higher. So we abate it if the property owner does not, and then that becomes a hard dollar cost lien against the property.
So the reason I brought this item forward is that I think we might need to have a conversation about something that we could potentially do legislatively, or create some sort of task force to follow up on it. Because as you can see, it's doubled, nearly doubled year over year. Possibly right now, when you catch somebody or find someone who is tagging, you said you arrested them. So that is a criminal?
Actually, that's the police department. Yes, that's a criminal violation.
Are we fining these taggers at all? Especially the stickers. I think the stickers are even more egregious, because when it's graffiti, we can just paint over it, but the stickers have to be like copiously scraped off all of our signs, and it's creating a real problem.
Right, we actually do both. We abate, and then we also issue the violation to the promoter or whoever it is that may be putting these stickers on.
Is there a fine related to the violation, and if so, how much? Because I think we could create legislation to increase the fine, to make it disadvantageous. Of course, yes.
Commissioner Bott?
Commissioner Bott, if you could please unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody. This is great, Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez. Thank you for bringing this item. I've actually been speaking with Officer Julio Blanco about this issue as well. We are seeing it all over the city, and especially up in North Beach. And I think there's an opportunity for code and police to put together a joint strategy to arrest as often as possible. I mean, there's nothing to deter you like being arrested. And I think that whenever graffiti gets identified, we identify the person. There needs to be communication with the police department, so it's not just that they get a fine that they may or may not pay, but that it's something that is handled by the police as well, because as my understanding is that it's a criminal offense as well as a code violation. So I think education and deterrence would benefit us all. And I would like to encourage Hernan to sit down with the police and come back in a month and give us the updated plan of how we're going to do a concerted joint effort to not just mitigate and issue violations, but also to in every possible instance arrest somebody.
So I think we could increase the fines. Or the initial fine is $250. How do you guys feel about increasing that, doubling it?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may,
500.
so the fines are $250, but then on the criminal portion of it, there's the court's order restitution for whatever that hard dollar cost is for either the owner or the city to mitigate that.
So what is the cost of sticker removal, for example?
It depends on how many locations, same thing with graffiti, size, location.
Are you guys keeping track of this? What's the average cost of?
Good morning. Elizabeth Miro, Assistant Director for Facilities and Fleet Management. It can vary depending on the time we have to invest. It can be anywhere from $250 to $300, depends.
So my suggestion to send to the full commission, thank you, would be to double these fines. How do you feel about that? First offense, 500, second offense, 1,000. Third, if you're caught 3 or more times doing it, we're going to charge you 2,000. What do you think?
I certainly think this is public property. When we talk about public safety, it starts with the small initiatives. I want to be careful that we don't get into some sort of game where we're antagonizing people and inviting them to almost beat us here, but I think increasing the severity of the penalties is proper. Perhaps also, now that we have the Real-Time Intelligence Center, we can put this on the police's radar as well for better monitoring.
And I think there's different levels of fine. So I would move to send this to the full commission and double the fines for graffiti and sticker tagging. Are you guys okay with that? And then I would like to bring this back. I know you don't want to I know you want to get rid of items, but I also find that if we get an update, for example, in 3 months, we can see if, there was any change, was there less graffiti? And also, I would say that we should double the fines, but also do some sort of marketing campaign on social media about how important it is to, not like a scary type of campaign, but some sort of like beautification campaign. Like, don't come to Miami Beach and sticker because we are increasing our fines. And I think, people need to know. And I would target, like a targeted social media campaign. What do you think? In addition?
I think so. That's where it gets into, I don't want to create some sort of like a cat and mouse game where we're actually,
encouraging it?
encouraging. Oh, right.
Okay, so then for now, we'll just do the doubling of all fines related. You okay with that? It would have to go to the full commission. And I would like to thank Renee Contreras. I don't know if you're here, the audience, but he is the gentleman who every single day scrubs off stickers to make our community cleaner, because he does feel like this sticker and graffiti pollution is very damaging. He's seen what it's done in where he used to live in LA, and that's why he's dedicated himself to now cleaning up our city and helping us. So thank you. And by the way, if you see a sticker or graffiti, please use our e-government app, take a picture of it. We will go out and have it removed.
Commissioner,
Public comment?
the only other thing I wanted to add to that real quick is that our 3 area managers kicked off this week. They're reporting directly to me, and we'll make sure that we place a priority on the area managers looking, as they're out looking for things, to look for this graffiti and these stickers. And they'll work closely with both code and facilities to make sure that we address this.
Wonderful, thanks.
And Commissioner Bott has her hand up. Commissioner, you may speak. If you unmute yourself.
Thank you. I believe I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I would also like to encourage, as part of this item that's moving forward to the commission, is an urging for code and police to put together a game plan to work together to identify the people who are doing this, so that in addition to a violation, if the circumstances warrant, there's also an arrest made. That's a suggestion that is coming from the police department.
Is that something that we would legislate or just,
That's already on the books. So we would just work in conjunction with the police department.
okay, so we'll bring it back in 3 months. You know, Commissioner Magazine, I think you're right, like a boogeyman style campaign wouldn't work, but you know what would work? Like a PSA to residents saying, hey, listen, if you see a sticker or some graffiti in your neighborhood, take a picture, send it to us, and we will come and clean it up. So, I mean, I think that kind of social media campaign could be really positive.
Yeah, I agree. Just in the age of social media today, I'm hesitant to, I agree with you on this last portion, but sitting there saying, you know what, if you come here and fine, we're increasing, it'll create like a little social media cat and mouse game, but I'm happy to go forward with you with a PSA to our residents.
Okay, so as part of my motion, I would do a public service campaign. I don't know where Melissa is, just educating our residents about our e-government app. I think that that should be like an ongoing campaign, because I find that that in all of the meetings that we go to, when we tell people about reporting stuff, they don't know that this app exists. Or
Oh, they do know it exists.
they do?
Yes.
Well, some do, but we were in a room last night where several people said, well, what is that app? How does it work? So
Absolutely. So if I may, through the chair, just to give you some insight. Just this fiscal year alone, 225 of the complaints that we receive for our department for eGovs, 62% are graffiti. That's
Really?
139.
okay, so that's great. I think we could do even more, because people see it around, they don't know what to do. Sometimes they might call 911 when they don't have to, or who do you call to report it? You know, maybe they call City Hall and then they get bounced around. So, okay, so the doubling of the fines and the social media, positive social media campaign about what you can do to clean up graffiti and stickering. That's it.
So that, we'll send it to the full commission, but with an update to this committee in 3 months.
Yes.
Great. Then we have the next item is item number 26. Discuss timeline for construction of Miami Beach Convention Center Hotel Headquarter Hotel and anticipated opening date. And we have Yvette who will be presenting the item.
Okay, great. And I think it's closing today.
Hello, everybody. Yvette Batista from Terra and BMU for the hotel. We are happy to report that we're closing today, and schedule doesn't change. I need to finish an exhibit for Thais. We're very happy. Yes.
Amazing news. I'm so happy to hear. And then I'd like to bring it back next month to hear about groundbreaking, next steps, all that good stuff. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations for the city as well for getting a hotel.
Yes.
We have item number 6, discuss the potential creation of a special taxing district to fund the implementation of guard gates and or implementations of other security features in Venetian Islands. This was sponsored by Commissioner Suarez, co-sponsored by Commissioner Magazine, and Facilities will be presenting the item.
Commissioner Suarez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a lot of people also on Bayshore, North Bay Road. Would it be possible to call both items together? Because I'll have 2 similar presentations. Madam Chair.
That's it. Okay, I'll read it in just for the record. Discuss the potential creation of taxing district to fund the implementation of security features in Bayshore and North Bay Road neighborhoods. So this would be items 6 and 9 will be combined.
Okay, first I'd like to start off by saying, this was resident-driven. there has been concerns with public safety, crime, and in some cases, traffic. There's been talk of traffic measures specifically on Lower North Bay Road that kind of fell flat in the last couple of months. I think what I'm going to propose is a little bit more surgical for what we can accomplish. The way I'm going to break this up is through two different presentations. I'm going to start off with the Venetian Islands. David Gomez here has a similar presentation than what I have. He'll have a little bit more details. And then after Venetian, I'd like to move to North Bay Road and Bayshore. I want everyone to know and listening that this is going to be a very long process, possibly 2 years. But the sooner we start, I think the better. And I want also everyone to know that this is ultimately not up to the commission. It's not up to the people up here. It's up to the residents of their neighborhood. If you want to move forward with this, I'll go into a little bit more details on that. But ultimately, I want to make sure that everyone understands the powers in your hands. The vote, you ultimately decide if this is something that you think is appropriate for your neighborhood. So with that being said, PJ, if you could put on yes, thank you very much. Okay, so I want to start with the Venetian Islands. If you go to the next slide, please. As I said before, residents have voiced their concerns with safety and access to their neighborhood. Commissioner Magazine and I sponsored this item that's before you today, along with the Bayshore and North Bay Road one. And we're here today to discuss, is this going to be a good fit for your community? You go next slide, please. So I pulled a lot of data, actually. I pulled data for Sunset Islands and Venetian Islands. And I looked at a few things in response to crime. And believe it or not, I compared the stats between Sunset Islands and Venetian Islands, and the difference was pretty significant. On Venetian Islands, there's about 350 households. On Sunset Islands, there's about 250 households. So I used the rates at which there were thefts and reported suspicious activity for each area. And so Venetian Islands, as you know, does not have a guard gate. There's no security. Sunset Islands has a guard gate and roving security. And so when I looked at the analysis from 2020 to 2024, believe it or not, Venetian Islands had almost 3 times more thefts than Sunset Islands. The theft rate per household was 127% higher. And by the way, anyone who would like a copy of my analysis, I'm more than happy to provide. And another thing that really stuck out to me was the suspicious rate, the suspicious person rate per household. And a suspicious person is basically a resident calling in or a homeowner saying, hey, there's a suspicious person here. He's wearing a ski mask, or they keep on circling the block. That's a suspicious activity. It's 188% higher in Venetian than it is on Sunset Island. And so I think these numbers show really how much of a difference that that having a dedicated patrol service and security guard would make toward safety and even the perception of safety. If you go to the next slide, please. Okay, so what is a special taxing district? It's a way to fund extra security guards, guard gates, cameras, beyond what the city provides. It's paid through the residents, and it's on your property tax bill. It's not a citywide tax. Some examples are Allison Island, Biscayne Point, Normandy Shores, Biscayne Beach, Sunset Islands. In the county, in Dade County, there are over 1,000 different special taxing districts. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is possible? You go to the next slide, please, PJ. Okay, so there's a menu of options that that a special taxing district can choose from. There's security guards, obviously. You could be stationary, roving. It could be manned at the guard gate. There's technical. There's tech. There's license plate camera readers. There's RFID gate access. So when you're coming up to the gate, you have a sticker. It opens up. And then, of course, there's fixed guard gates. So for some of the tax rolls that I pulled, these are some of the numbers of how much extra, and then you divide that by the special taxing, the households there. So Allison Island last year was $282,000 for the year, and Biscayne Beach, Biscayne Point, Normandy Shores are almost roughly the same. Next slide, please. Okay, so how it works. And this is just a very rough estimate. I'm going to have one of our city attorneys also go over this. There's a letter of intent. So 10% of the property owners need to sign a petition to kick things off. And then there needs to be a 50% plus one of residence owners who agree on the boundaries of where the special taxing district will be configured. There's going to be a county approval. I believe that's an administrative review at this point. There's going to then be an election of people in your district that say yes or no. And then the city is going to step in and, Miami Beach adopts the configuration. We could also take it over later with an agreement. And as I said in the beginning, this timeline, you're looking at about 2 years. And that's everything from where we are today to the construction of a guard gate, if there is a guard gate. Next slide, please. Okay, so the cost. The cost really depends on the area of the district. And I'll go over what that means, I think, at the next slide. But it also depends on if you're going to have guard gates, if you're going to have roving security, if you're going to have more than one roving security. So if you have a large area, such as like Bayshore, I think only having one is going to be sort of ineffective. I think you're going to need at least two. And then the payment, so the payment gets added to your property tax as a special assessment. And I showed the estimates. This is just a copy, a screenshot of the tax rolls. You go next slide, please. Okay, so let me, and we're going to have staff also present, but this is sort of what I'm thinking as far as Venetian Islands. And again, this can change. This is sort of the most that we could do as far as security on Venetian Islands. This is a combination of a guard gate and roving security. And so and you'll notice that there's numbers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can have a maximum of 6 special taxing districts. So on Revo Alto, for example, if Revo Alto North, which is 5, only wanted to do a special taxing district and Revo South did not, you can set that up. If Revo Alto as a whole wanted to do it and share resources, that's also possible. So let me give you what I envision would be the best approach. So the yellow circle is where the guard gate would be. Okay, there's more room there because it's the first cross street on both north and south. And you'll notice that there's a red barrier on the west end of the island. The red barrier, and the reason I would do a red barrier there is because we would limit it to just one guard gate, and the guard gates would be all on the east side of Venetian Island, north and south. And so the red barrier could be a berm or definitely a barrier that you cannot cross. And so there would only be one access point in and out. And you're probably wondering, why is it not closer to Venetian Way? That's because you need to have a queuing distance between the main road and the guard gate. So if there's like 3 or 4 people who are waiting to get let in, you do not want to cause a traffic backup on Venetian. And so that's the idea. And again, Delito North can say, look, we really want a guard gate and roving security, and Delito South says, well, you know, we're just okay with with a roving security. Those would be two different special taxing districts. So it really depends on your neighborhood and if this is something that you would like. So next slide, please, PJ. Okay, so just some background information. The Venetian Islands, everything is public. The streets are public. The gates would need county approval. There's a very streamlined process for that. Okay, we're going to have, if this moves forward, we're going to have the traffic team do a traffic flow study. I believe David Gomez has already a lot of that for today. And the cost for the studies and gate constructions come from the district once it's set up. So again, like I said, there are already 4 special taxing districts in Miami Beach. There's Allison Island, Biscayne Beach, Biscayne Point, Normandy Shores. There's also county special taxing district, which is Palm, Hibiscus, and Star. Okay, and if you could just go to the next slide, PJ, just to list off a couple things I already said in the beginning. You know, you're going to have you would have an enhanced security, and I think I already proved that with the data, at least between Sunset and Venetian. Peace of mind. You know, I think there's obviously a lot less crime on Sunset Island. When I looked at the stats, I think there was only 1 car theft in the last 5 years, as opposed to North Bay Road, where it seems like it happens once a week. And those are people in Sunset Islands that still leave their keys in the car. This is, again, it's community led. This is really not up to us. This is up for everyone here to decide in your neighborhood if this is the right plan. Also, if this gets forward, that you do also have the benefit of boosting your property taxes. And yeah, I think there's also something to be said about you feel much safer in your neighborhood knowing that there's someone. And PJ, you can cancel the slide. I think there's something to say that, you know, having someone dedicated to patrol your neighborhood is invaluable, right? You know, if you're going to go out of town on vacation for a week or a month, you know, you can tell the security guard, hey, look, I'm going to be out of town. If you see anything that's wrong, you know, let me know. You don't have to rely necessarily on your neighbors. And you have a really dedicated patrol for your neighborhood. So I wanted to just quickly go over North Bay Road. It's a much smaller presentation. BJ, if you could put that up. So that was Venetian. So North Bay Road. Now they've had other challenges. I mean, they have a lot of challenges. Unfortunately, between a spike in car thefts and traffic. If you go to the next slide, please. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking for at least Lower North Bay Road. Lower North Bay Road would have the guard gate on the south at Michigan and North Bay Road. And what you see with the blue sort of barriers, those wouldn't be guard gates. Those would be fixed automatic gates that are read through an RFID scanner. And there would the access point for non-residents would be on the south end where the yellow circle is. All the other access points would be accessible to the residents of North Bay Road, the residents of Sunset Islands 1 and 2, and the residents on Alton on Road, because a lot of them use the side streets to turn around and loop around. So this would, in a sense, also have much greater visibility and eyes on the ground for suspicious activity. I'm sure my colleagues know that it seems like we get a notification from the police almost weekly that a car gets stolen on North Bay Road. This will also cut the through traffic in the afternoon and really discourage like your Uber drivers, the people that don't live here to think that they can just cut through North Bay Road and get off on Chase. If you go to the next slide, please. Okay, so like I said, reduces cut-through traffic, restores residents' access, improves safety, and maintains public access. Next slide, please. Okay, so Bayshore, it's pretty much unfeasible to do any sort of guard gate option here. I think the best approach for Bayshore would be at least 2 roving security patrol officers, where that's what, they have a dedicated route, and they monitor our neighborhood. Go to the next slide, please. Yeah, again, flexible staffing, rover, they can be armed or unarmed, and you can even have a choice between private security or off-duty police officers, like even FHP. Like I said, minimum, I think it would be 2 roving patrol vehicles, and I don't think that it's possible with a guard gate or a fixed gate. And PJ, you can cut the slide. So, look, I've done a lot of resident outreach for each neighborhood. I'd really like to welcome public comment, because this is really a committee where we're sort of checking the temperature of the residents in the neighborhood to see what they would like to do. I understand the president of the Venetian Island Homeowners Association, Chad, is here. There's also many people on Zoom, I believe, that would love to chime in and kind of
Let's hear from the city administration.
Sure. So there's also legal, Nick and David, if you want to come up and give your, you don't necessarily have to give a presentation. I think I covered most of it, but maybe give us some of your thoughts on setting this up.
Good morning, David Gomez, Director of Capital Improvements, and Commissioner, I would like to welcome you to CIP should you ever choose to change careers. Your presentation was on point and expansive. I don't think I need to add anything to that. I think to give a little bit of an idea of what this might look like, the guardhouse for Sunset Islands 1 and 2 has a similar dimension to what we could fit or accommodate in these areas. The difference being that guardhouse has bathroom facilities that are separate. We would look to incorporate it within the single structure. There's a lot of due diligence that still needs to be done. We need to ensure that underground utilities are cleared, and we need to coordinate traffic studies with the county, but that would come later in the process when we know exactly what the residents would like to do, so we can move forward from there. But generally speaking, you hit on all the points.
And would you agree that this is through the chair, would you agree that this is a 2-year process? I mean, what is a standard timeline?
I think probably the longest part of this is getting the special taxing district set up. Once we have that, then it's just a regular design and construction project.
Okay, and for our city attorney, Nick, I understand that Sunset Islands 1 through 4 is a little different, right? And they were set up a little different. Can you maybe talk about that as opposed to how it was set up for Allison Island, Palm and Hibiscus?
Sure. So Sunset Islands 1 and 2 and Sunset Islands 3 and 4 each have a mandatory homeowners association. Those are typically created when a neighborhood or subdivision is initially developed. I found early records for Sunset Islands 3 and 4 dating as far back as the early 60s. Wow. I could not find the initial records for 1 and 2, but those mandatory homeowner associations have, they run with the land, so you're required to be a member of the association. If you purchase property, you have to be approved by the association, but their annual dues can be used toward funding security guard services. So I think because mandatory HOAs are typically incorporated when a neighborhood is first developed, I think the clearest path here would be to initiate the process through Miami-Dade County to create a special district.
Right, and if you can enlighten everyone, so if you're going to do it through the county, it's a 51% vote, right? But if you're going to do it through the city, it's 60%, correct?
So the city actually does not have a process for security guard special taxing districts. When we have created special districts in the past, like for utility undergrounding, we have adopted a 60% threshold.
And if the neighborhood wanted to do it through the city, would it still require a 60%?
That would be up to the city commission, but likely yes.
Okay, and what are the pros and cons between doing it through the city and to the county?
I think the biggest benefit of going through the county is the county has a dedicated team to handle the creation and at least in the unincorporated areas, ongoing management of special taxing districts. They have a staff that's dedicated to supporting neighborhood residents who are interested in pursuing a special taxing district. And then at the end of that process, what they've done in recent years is transferred control to the city so that we take over at the point where the district has been created and we can administer it.
Got it. Okay. And Madam Chair, also I asked the vendor for Sunset Islands 1 and 2, and full disclosure, I've never met him. He's actually right there. And I asked him also to maybe field some questions that some of us may have for cost and any sort of functionality that they offer for their special taxing districts, the benefits. So if any of you would like him to speak, he's also more than welcome to.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from Commissioner Magazine. He's a co-sponsor.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Suarez. You and I had an item. Thank you, Commissioner Suarez. You and I had an item on that was heard in public safety and then at the full commission over a year ago about some of the escalating crime on North Bay Road and on the Venetian Islands. That these incidents have continued. This is going to escalate to something that has catastrophic consequences. So I'm very glad that we're being proactive rather than reactive after something like this happens. These are quality of life crimes, but this also presents serious personal safety concerns as well. What I'm thinking about is we need immediate relief, right? We are getting these incidents weekly, whether they're cars stolen or people have reached out to me about intruders actually approaching onto their property. We're going to have an incident where either somebody gets shot that's entering one of these properties or a resident is harmed. I had an incident at my home where a gun was pulled on me, so I understand people's need to feel safe in their homes. So with that being said, I wonder if the best way to go about this is a bifurcated process. So we set up the special taxing district with the first order of priority of establishing immediate roving patrols because the guard gates are going to be, like you said, a 2-year process because there are the design concerns, utility concerns, and things like that. And I wouldn't want, as we discuss that more comprehensive vision, to hold up getting our residents here absolutely needed and immediate relief. And I think that we go after the low-hanging fruit first as we continue a separate pronged approach and discussion about whether and where to add those guard gates. I would certainly be supportive. And like you said, this is community-driven, neighborhood-driven. So these neighborhoods are going to have to vote on it themselves. But what I'd love to see is a process where we take an immediate vote on the need for these special taxing districts that would prioritize setting up the roving security patrol. And then as a bifurcated process, we talk about the guard gates and things like that, because I think the most pressing thing is to get immediate solutions over here. It'll cover the entirety of North Bay Road. Some people have already reached out wondering that. The Venetian Islands, Bay Shore, and we could look at this for other neighborhoods. I know Lakeview has had issues as well. Nick, I see you standing up, so maybe something that I said flagged legal, but I think that's what I'd love to see, is to try and get immediate relief and security in these neighborhoods through the special taxing district that would first tackle the roving patrol, and then we could have more prolonged discussions and planning. I do not want to go to our friends and neighbors in this community and say, you know, help is 2 years away. Being your friend and colleague for the past some time, I know that you are also an immediate solution person as well. So I want to see how people feel about that. And I also want to hear from some of our residents, because without being keyed in, I don't think I appreciated the severity of the problems here. And I think it's important to get that out front and center.
Commissioner?
I'm fine with this. I was, you know, it first started to get really bad when, I don't know if you remember, during COVID, when the bike gang came over and they stopped and they punched that one father. You know, so on the Venetians, I understand the need for this immediately, because those bicycle gangs do come across. I also read a report that's really scared me, that somebody was driving up to their home and they were held up at gunpoint outside of their home in Miami Beach on the Venetians. So that I understand. A few questions that I have. Is this going to be private security vehicles, or will they be off-duty police? And will the neighborhoods be able to decide? Because I know we passed a law saying that neighborhoods could hire their own security, correct? I think I passed that last year, and it was for Allison Island at the time that wanted their own security vehicles. So are they going to be able to choose what they want, or?
The initiative that you sponsored, Commissioner, was specific to Allison Island. The way that this typically works is that first of all, Commissioner Suarez went over each of the major steps to create the district perfectly. The only thing I would say is that the first immediate step is for the residents of a particular area to sign that initial letter of intent. And that letter of intent has to include the boundaries of the district and the purpose of the district. So if they wanted to include roving security only, then that would be the point where they need to make that decision. If they wanted to include a guardhouse and roving security or off-duty police, again, I think that needs to be part of the initial decision, whether to sign the letter of intent. But generally speaking, since these are public roads, the guardhouses in, I think, every instance are public property. The city would be using our private security provider or our police officers for off-duty. Now, and Liz can go into greater detail on this, our private security contracts do allow the each district to decide what level of guard, what level of training they'd like to hire, and obviously there's an additional cost, but there are options under our contract.
Okay, that's correct. So I would just tell the neighborhoods that want to sign the initial letter of intents to be as explicit as possible in terms of what you envision in the form of security. And also, I was at the Sunset Islands 1 and 2 annual meeting last weekend, and it was really impressive to see this private security company that is in charge of the entire island, and the level of security that Sunset 1 and 2 have. So I have no problem, because neighborhoods are going to be voting on this anyway. If they choose for security, then they get it, and if not, you won't. So that will be up to you to run successful campaigns so that you can get the guard gates that you need. You know, I know that the streets will continue to be public, but I do think that, it's a deterrent. And also on North Bay Road, it's not just security. I think it's also the traffic. People can't seem to get in and out of their homes during rush hour. So, people who know will be able to go through the gates, and people who don't won't. If you know, you know. So, okay, I'm on board with this. I would make a motion to move it to the full
Well,
commission.
we have to hear public comment.
Okay.
So 1 minute each person.
Okay. Do we have any public comment in person?
Chad?
You guys could line up, and you guys can, if you want, you could line up behind the chair, and then we'll do one in person and one online.
Good morning. Chad Braver, Venetian Islands Homeowner Association President, 801 West Toledo Drive. While VIHA cannot take a position on C4AN, of course, because as you all mentioned, it needs to go to vote, Security remains a serious concern for us. In 2023, over 1 in 10 Venetian Islands households had some sort of theft or burglary, and it really came to a head. Since then, we have installed license plate readers and made some dent in that, but we need more help. As a major entry point to Miami Beach and a contributing neighborhood, we asked the city for a dramatic increase in protection. I appreciate Commissioner Suarez and the committee's care in the neighborhood. If certain measures aren't feasible due to the layout, let's focus on ones that are. On our end, VIHA is investing in our LPRs and then also working on getting PTZ cameras that we hope to connect to your real-time crime center. But we also need a real police force increase to help us in the meantime until some of these things get worked out. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Adam Bergman here. I lived on Miami Beach for around 15 years. I just bought a house on North Bay, and within the first month, my car was broken into, or at least attempted, at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. Okay, armed, I think an armed, masked gentleman. My kids are scared. We haven't moved into our house yet. My kids don't want to move. I live right now on Nautilus. They want to stay. They don't want to move to North Bay because they're scared. We have a gate that's not good enough. They're petrified of moving. So this is just not realistic to have a situation where we have a great community and there's no security. That's on top of the fact that there's a major traffic issue. So I just plead, I want to thank you guys for your commitment, dedication to security, safety, to the community. We have an amazing community in Miami Beach, but we have a security issue and we need to address it. And I think what you're doing is incredible. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I'm also a resident on North Bay Road on 30th, and I'm totally in agreement. I couldn't thank you more.
Your name?
Pardon me, Mariela Perez. I'm a retired Beach High teacher for 38 years, so I can teach you math, but I'm not into politics. But I can tell you that what you're saying, both of you, couldn't be more on point. We need more immediate solutions, and definitely the traffic here is beyond anything that anyone can imagine, not even the traffic getting out of Beach High at 2:30 in the afternoon. That goes away in 15, 20 minutes. We have this from 3 in the afternoon till 7 o'clock at night. And someone actually counted the cars, and it was something like 1,400 cars. And we have school buses, construction vehicles, you name it. It's like we're actually, prisoners in our own home. I don't know how parents do it to take their kids to activities in the afternoon. There's just no way. And so we do need, I don't even know how the roving security is going to get through, be honest with you. So there has to be something done to alleviate this problem. It is not sustainable. And the other issue is my house had 2 incidents as well. Once I had a concussion from it. And, I don't like to talk about it, but it needs to be resolved. There has to be some measure put in immediately to solve this problem. It is not sustainable. So I thank you dearly from the bottom of my heart for taking your time and effort to do such a thorough job. And we thank Ellen Friedman, of all people. She has been this person spearheading this, but she's not in town, so I am speaking on her behalf. And I am telling you, it is severe. The traffic, the crime, the car thefts, you name it. It's happening on North Bay Road, on one of the supposedly high-end streets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If we could have the next.
Hi, my name is Ramesh Singh. I'm a resident on San Marino. I want to first thank all of you, David Suarez and Commissioner Gonzalez and Commissioner Magazine, for your support, commitment to this issue. It's really important. I also want to appreciate Chad for his leadership on this issue for the Venetian Islands homeowners and all of the members of that organization, as well as the people who have spoken so far. Adam, your story is terrifying. Absolutely. This is simple. It has to happen. Everybody here knows it. And I want to just echo Joseph Magazine's comments. It has to happen now. And let's do what we can now. The roving patrols, I think, are the easiest ones to get done for all of the reasons we've mentioned why the gates will be difficult. But I've seen the bike gang. I've seen the bike gangs on Alton Road. I've seen them on Venetian Causeway again. And we just don't need this. And this is something simple and in our control. So please support. And we're all behind you. And thank you for everything.
Thank you. Next, anyone else?
Hi, my name's Julie Michael. I'm a resident of Sunset 1 and 2, and I'm on the HOA board. So thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. Commissioner Suarez, I was curious in your imagining, how would residents of Sunset Island, I just want to make sure, those blue lines are indicative of areas where residents would have access through RFID gates. Yeah. And two questions are that we already pay for our security, a relatively substantial amount. We want to make sure that we would not be double charged because we also have access through those gates.
No.
We wouldn't.
The way I imagine it, I mean, so Nick, you can come up and you can confirm that. But
okay.
Basically, if you live on Alton Road, Lower Alton Road, and Sunset Islands 1 and 2, you'll have just access because you'll have an RFID sticker.
So we, our staff, there could be temporary passes for guests potentially. So that we're not, because we already go through a gate. So if we have to queue through multiple gates, that's,
Correct. If you would have a delivery, for example, or a guest, they'd have to go to the lower part of Lower North Bay Road.
Okay.
Which, by the way, it's not bad because then you have an extra layer of security that you're not necessarily getting taxed on.
Sure. No, and I'm definitely in support of this. I think we definitely need to do something about the traffic and, all the security in general. I think it's a great idea. We just had those kind of specific concerns.
Yeah, no, the way I imagine it would be residents of Sunset Islands 1 and 2 and residents of Alton Road, they would have access with an RFID sticker to access those gates. So they can freely access. They don't have to go through the guard gate every time.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, I'm David Dash. I'm a resident of North Bay Road in the 40s. One thing I was wondering from your presentation, would gating that section of North Bay Road be possible?
Which section?
In the 40s, North Bay Road, Middle North Bay.
That is another option. We certainly can do that. And this is going to go to another committee, which Commissioner Magazine and I sit on, and I'm going to expand upon that. Okay. So I kind of wanted to check everyone's temperature today to see how everyone felt. Most of the people speaking today I've never met. It's just like you, and I wanted to see if this is something feasible. Like, is there a need for Middle North Bay and Upper North Bay Road for something similar? Now, Middle and Upper North Bay Road is going to have something very similar to Lower North Bay Road, where you would have to have maybe even 2 security guard gates because there's 2 major access points on Middle North Bay Road and Upper North Bay Road. And again, that comes down to cost. So this is going to be an ongoing discussion. So just so everyone is clear, the way this is going to work is this was referred to this committee, which we're in today. It looks like it's going to pass. And then there's going to be a finance committee, which I sit on, and Commissioner Magazine sits on, and Commissioner Bott sits on. And once it passes that, where we sort of iron out all the details, then that gets sent back to the City Commission. And then from there, we'll approve the project in a sense where it can move forward and residents can then start to vote on the 10% of, yes, this is what we want. And then as my presentation showed, those are the immediate next steps.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. Like Adam, I've seen numerous neighbors have break-ins, armed robberies. I've seen people pistol whipped with a gun when I first moved onto the street in the 50s, about 10 years ago. But yeah, it's a problem and something needs to be done. I'm happy that you're finally, and the city's finally taking this really head on, and we appreciate you guys' work on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take one more from the audience and then, 2 more from the audience, and then we have on Zoom and we need to move on to the next item. Hi.
Again, thank you, Commissioners. Peter and Catherine Coakley, 2105 Meridian Ave. Last July, we spent a few months in Boston and woke up at 2 in the morning to the video and the sound of a man walking through our house. So we called the police. They were unbelievable. They got there immediately. He apparently then hid behind the houses through the bushes, but based on our description, they arrested him within hours. He's gone through the whole court systems, and it was really very unsettling, to say the least. So yes, I do believe we need more security in the Bayshore neighborhood, and I also want to thank the police again. They were truly amazing. Thank you.
Terry Beanstalk, 2312 Bay Avenue, Sunset Island 3, and I'm here on behalf of our Sunset Island 3 and 4 Association. Appreciate what you folks are doing. Our actual budget, Commissioner Suarez, is double what you had. We've recently doubled it for security reasons. The point we want to make are two things. One is to the complexity of closing off roads with gates on through streets. You know, we're not through streets. Sunset 1 and 2, they're not through streets. North Bay Road, Venetians, some of those are through streets, and we just want to make sure, since we only have one way on and off our islands, that we're included, like 1 and 2 would be included with, the ability
Access.
to access,
Correct.
Free access. The second thing is, I agree with Commissioner Magazine that there's things that could be done now with roving. The residents don't need to vote. They could just get together and create a group and fund roving guards now and start the process. Home values have changed so dramatically that the cost of doing that is much more affordable now than it used to be. So I would certainly encourage, it helps us, it works for us, and would encourage residents of North Bay Road and Venetians, et cetera, to start the process now.
Okay,
And
thank
not
you
worry about the
for your
complexities.
public comment.
Because I think you're overly optimistic at 2 years. I've been through, I've been through these things. It's a lot of years. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if we could move now to, we're going to take 2 public comments online.
How many are online?
We have 11.
Take 5.
5? Okay. If we could, okay, we'll do 1 minute. Perry Rabar, if you could please unmute yourself, you have 1 minute.
Hi, how are you?
We could hear you.
I would just like to thank Commissioner Suarez for all the work that he did in preparing all this analysis. And I want to also echo Commissioner Magazine's sentiment. We're on the cusp of something really dangerous happening I live on 2355 North Meridian. We had a break-in to 2 houses down in the middle of the day recently. It really is a recipe for disaster. So I stress that to find some sort of interim solution to get roving security up as soon as possible is something that I would definitely be in support of. So I just wanted to echo that sentiment.
If we could unmute Yo Neil, and if you could please give us your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Yanni O'Neill, and I am actually going to echo the gentleman that was on Upper North Bay Road. I guess is it possible to send the presentation out that you went through this earlier this morning? I'm actually curious as to what the plan would be for Upper North Bay Road.
I have it. I'd be more than happy. I don't know if you got my emails, but I'd be more happy to send it out. And if you can also email me.
Would that encompass Upper North Bay Road or your plans for Upper North Bay Road?
Yes.
Meaning.
Yeah, I can send you my draft ideas for Upper and Middle North Bay Road. If you want to just go ahead and email me at david@miamibeachfl.gov, I'd be more than happy to.
Okay, if we could please, thank you for your comment. If we could please unmute Richard Leans. You have 1 minute.
All right, well, thank you first for handling this, especially Commissioner Suarez. Upper North Bay Road has approached the city a few times over the past years about doing this. As recently as November of '23. We've had a few conversations among residents, and I think that we would have no problem getting the votes to get this done. So just passing that along. And that's it. Thank you again.
Thank you. If we could have Verizon, Verizon to unmute themselves and announce your full name.
Hi, it's Fred Carlton, 1800 Sunset Harbor Drive. First, I want to commend you guys, the committee, for even considering this. And, I want to speak specifically about, how resident friendly, this has to be. We're specifically in the traffic issues. The crime issues, no question, is just out of control with the stealing of cars and all these things. But just to get out of our driveway here, just to give you a sense, is incredibly difficult. And to go about 6 blocks or 5 blocks, it's 45 minutes during rush hour traffic. I've had to resort to getting a golf cart to get my kids to the JCC and actually go across Alton Road and drive on the golf course because the traffic is so backed up. So I really think it's important that, we address it. I really commend you guys for having the courage to address it. And that's about it. Thank you.
And our last public comment, Michelle, if you could please unmute yourself and say your full name for the record.
Hi, my name is Michelle Kahn. I work with Julie Michael. Also, I am also a board member of Sunset Island 1 and 2. And I just wanted to ask that we get informed of what's happening. We only found out about this by accident, where we were following up on the public meetings on the left turn for Alton Road. We were sent a memo, and I happened to read in the third line in the third paragraph of the memo something about gating of North Bay Road. We had never heard anything about it. So I don't know who's in charge of the communications, but Sunset Island 1 and 2 really didn't know anything about this before last week. We're in favor of it. We think it's wonderful, but we would like to be added to the mailing list or the notifications, please.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we close public comment.
Thank you. So I think by acclamation, we can move this to the full commission. It's going to FERC for another discussion. We can move on to the next item.
Okay, so next will be item number 25, discuss utilizing 7605 Collins Avenue as a potential base of operations for ocean rescue. This was sponsored by Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez, co-sponsored by Commissioner Suarez, and Building will be presenting the item.
Thank you. Honorable Committee and Council, thank you for this opportunity to speak. As you know, there's also another intended use. That's one of the 10 items that came as a result of the open house that was held on February 6th. And I'm ready to deliver those results if you like.
I'm actually going to pull this item because I think that there's a companion item. There's a similar item, right? That's not just limited to ocean rescue, but it's what the community thought that they wanted. We were going through some community-driven process, correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's the open house that was held on February 6th. And like I said, I have the 10 results that came from that open house.
Oh, okay. Do you want to give us those results?
Will do. So on February 6th, the open house that was requested by this committee was held, and the community came back with several recommendations. The first of which was to have a community cultural center at the 7605 property. Another one was to have a city facility to support the operations of the park and the beach. The third was a beach club for residents, was also one of the recommendations that came out. There was an offer or a request to make it an events venue for hosting weddings and things of that nature with its proximity to the park. The fifth is the one that's coming up for the Land Use Committee, which deals with an environmental marine science center. The sixth was a public safety, or also to keep it maybe perhaps as a police substation, since Ocean Rescue really wasn't interested unless it was the whole facility that they were going to be able to use. The 7th was a library integration area, perhaps with other educational or community-based activities being hosted there instead of at the library, which is literally across the parking lot. The 8th was an art and cultural programs area, dedicated spaces for classes and things of that nature, also in support of the library. The 9th was a tourist and community center, a welcoming center, if you would, to act as a hub to the North Beach area. And the 10th was a public space improvement suggestion to remove the security wall there and repurpose the entire pool area and create an outdoor event space. So there was some overlap with some of the community recommendations, but those are the result. And again, there's an intended use that they wanted to be discussed and was referred to the Land Use Committee later on.
So I would just withdraw this item and let it play out in land use. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we will mark it, and now we will have item number 29, which will be sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez, discussion regarding beach concessions, regulations, and layout to ensure that sufficient areas remain available at all times for public enjoyment of the beaches. This will be presented by Facilities and Fleet.
Okay, so Elizabeth, if you'll speak on this item.
Good morning again. So we have made considerable edits to the 5th amended rules and regulations for beachfront concessions. And basically, in addition to some of the items that were addressed by Commissioner Fernandez, ensuring that the beach is always available to the public at any given time.
Okay, so can we move this item to the full commission?
Yes. Okay, I will show it by acclamation move to the full commission. We now have item number 27, discuss reorienting the city's code department to adopt a more proactive rather than reactive approach to enforcement and community engagement. It will be presented by code and sponsored by Commissioner Bott.
Is Commissioner Bott still on the line?
Commissioner Bott is still on the line. Commissioner Bott, if you would like to unmute yourself, you may.
Yeah, I'll let the my staff colleagues present, and then I'll weigh in on that.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Hernan Cardino again. So this was before the committee, I guess last month. I was not present, but I think it came back for opportunities to do more, whether it was hiring more staff, cross-training, or eGov apps. They also talked about identifying some of the areas of frequent code violations. I think at the last meeting, Stephanie from my office addressed a misnomer about whether or not the service delivery is proactive. 88% of all investigations were proactive, while only 12% were complaint-driven. The area of most frequent violations citywide was sanitation and illegal dumping. I think cross-training was also discussed, and currently we cross-train our police officers on quality of life violations, our park rangers, Marine Patrol, and our Urban Forestry Division. They can all issue code violations with their respective areas of responsibility. As far as the opportunity to do more, I think the area captains are coming online. We're also doing a public awareness campaign highlighting our neighborhood code supervisors and attending those homeowners association meetings and also the business association meetings. And with that, I'll be happy to
Great,
answer
so
any
let's hear
questions.
from Commissioner Bott.
Commissioner Bott, if you could unmute yourself.
Yeah, so Hernan, thank you for this update. I think that the statistics speak for themselves, and the cross-pollination of staff and resources is exactly what we want to see. You know, we talked earlier about graffiti and code violations versus criminal enforcement. I think there needs to be, you know, a concerted effort to work with the police colleagues so that when things are, you know, we're not just, you know, cleaning up a code violation or we're not just cleaning up something that is a code violation, but we're also making sure that if it is a criminal activity, that police gets involved and can follow up on their side. So I think that's the only other thing that I'd like to see maybe a little bit more effort put into. I know it happens. I think it needs to be a higher priority to make it happen all the time, not just occasionally. So I think that's kind of the only thing we need to do on this for now. And if we're not seeing, now that these area captains are coming online and with more direction to work directly with the police on items, if we don't see sort of the additional benefits of that, we'll come back and revisit it in a time in the future.
Do we need to take any action on this, or is this just an update to be more proactive in terms of code compliance and?
Yeah, this was just coming back to the committee for an update.
Okay.
Okay, so can this item be closed?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll conclude this item. And we have one public comment, Michelle Comras, if we could unmute her. Michelle, you are muted still. We'll give you 10 seconds. Close public comment. Our next item is number 28. Discuss, take action on reestablishing a nuisance abatement board. This is going to be sponsored by Commissioner Bott, and Code and Legal will be speaking on this.
Okay, Commissioner Bott.
So this is something that has been floated around for a little while as a possible improvement to what we currently have. I'm not necessarily sold on it, but I wanted to bring this item so that we could hear from our colleagues who are experts in the matter and have a discussion, and then either move in one direction or another once and for all.
Code is coming, and they have any comment on this item?
Yeah, Hernan Cardino, Code Compliance, I would respectfully defer to police because the items that are articulated in the nuisance abatement board and their scope of authority would be all criminal items, criminal law violations.
I think Margallo is coming.
Well, the chief makes it here. I can just highlight those criminal law violations. It talks about the unlawful sale or delivery or storage of controlled substances, youth and criminal street gangs, prostitution, solicitation of prostitution, illegal gambling, illegal sale or consumption of alcoholic beverages, and dealing in stolen property.
Good morning, Madam Chair. So as Code Director Cardino alluded to, the majority of the items that are referenced with regard to designating a property to be a nuisance are criminal related. The process by which the city would go through to take action against the owner of a property that is become a nuisance is primarily held by code. So we would conduct our normal law enforcement operations. We would partner with code and any other city entity that needs that criminal information to make a determination, or the nuisance abatement board to make a determination as to whether or not this property is a nuisance. And then we would partner with all the city departments to move forward with that process.
Are you recommending this?
I am, on behalf of the police department, saying that we would support whatever effort the committee or the commission decides to go with.
My only worry is that we have so many boards and committees, and our staff is so focused on all the boards and committees that they actually can't get other work done because all they're doing is preparing for boards and committees. And so as we add all of these, and, for example, right here, everybody's here in this meeting right now. So And I'm not opposed to it. I want to do whatever we can to make sure that code and our police officers are working well, but, Commissioner Bott, are you 100% committed to this board? I'd like to hear from my colleagues on
And
this.
what actually would be heard here? Are we talking about just noise issues? What would be heard under something like this?
Well, they would be criminal law violations, the ones I just articulated, so I can go over them again if you'd like. The unlawful sale or delivery of controlled substance, youth and criminal street gangs, prostitution, solicitation of prostitution, illegal gambling, illegal sale or consumption of alcoholic beverages, and dealing in stolen property.
Why would it be going to the nuisance abatement board? What's happening where is it going right now?
Right now, any kind of criminal violation is going to be handled either through our local prosecutor at the city level, depending on the charge, or at the state level through the state attorney's office.
So you're saying having a resident appointed board handle these instead of
No,
criminal
my understanding is
prosecution?
that whatever predicate offenses are occurring at a potential nuisance property would become prima facie information that would be used by a nuisance abatement board or a city entity to determine whether or not the city needs to take action against the owner of that property for not maintaining the property free of those nuisances or criminal violations. That's my understanding of it.
I think if I heard Commissioner Bach correctly, she's not married to this item, but she did want to have the discussion. We've talked about it once before here. I tend to agree with Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez that the city resources to have another board could be tough, but I want to hear more from Commissioner Bott.
So in addition to the concerns raised about staff, I also have a concern about having a resident staffed or populated board because we can't even find residents to populate boards that are actually really important, our land use board, our CRA advisory board. So I worry about this. I also worry about if it becomes a vehicle for retaliatory measures in ways that we wouldn't anticipate. I did want to bring it to the commission and have our experts weigh in, or, to the committee rather, and have our experts weigh in, and just sort of flesh out what the pros and cons are. I am inclined to think that while there can always be and should always be even closer collaboration between code and police, because I believe they support each other in effectuating the change that we want to see. And, anything we can do to continue to encourage that and elevate that, the better. I don't believe this is a way to go. So I'm inclined to close this item with no further action. I think we've had a fair shake at this. We've had a discussion twice now, and it seems like it might have been a thing when the city was much smaller and in a different time, but I think it's just not appropriate for what we have now, which is, I believe, much more sophisticated and effective in trying to accomplish what we need to do.
Thank you for the discussion, Commissioner. We'll move on to number 7, which is also your item.
Item number 7 is discuss naming the Miami Beach Police Athletic League building in honor of Arthur Walter Martineau. This was sponsored by Commissioner Bott, and Facilities and Fleet will be presenting the item.
Okay, Commissioner Bott.
Yeah, so obviously Art, or now as we know, King Art, for those of you who are at the funeral, you understand that reference, but Art Martineau was the heart and soul of the Police Athletic League while he was running it for the last number of decades. His widow, Deb, is now the president of PAL, which is fantastic, continuing on the work that Art started. And I wanted to find a way to commemorate and memorialize the contribution that Art had made for those who might not know anything about PAL or not, you know, really have any reason to be involved with it, they would at least recognize by the name on the facility what who this person was. Um, in conversations with staff, and you'll see in the memo, it's a very complicated thing to undo a naming and redo a naming. And also in the next few years, the new Police Athletic League facility will be contemplated, designed, and built. So I think I'm going to support well, not I think, I am going to support the staff recommendation to do a statue, a plaque, whatever we want to do there, and with a explainer in front of the facility, and then name the new building after Art Martineau.
I think that's a beautiful tribute. With that, I'll move the item.
Just a quick question. Certainly well deserved, and I love the initiative. Doesn't this already have a name, the Police Athletic Building?
It does. It's currently the A. Bresnick Youth Resource Center.
Yeah.
That's the current name on the building. So renaming it would require it to go to elections. And that's why we have recommended, in lieu of renaming, to establish a commemorative plaque. The new building, however, the one that's funded by the 2018 GEO bond, that could be named after Arthur Martineau.
And apologies, so where is this motion going? What are we saying? Oh, the plaque.
Install a
Okay.
plaque.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
So all in favor to full,
for the plaques of, full commission, and off to number 8.
okay. Item number 8 is discuss upgrading the city's holiday decor. This was sponsored by Commissioner Dominguez and co-sponsored by Commissioner Magazine. Facilities and Fleet will be sponsoring.
Elizabeth, let's talk about the holiday decor. This came up, I'll just mention it, I had a meeting with the Lincoln Road team, and they're also here. And we were discussing how the holiday decor across the city is a little tired, maybe not enough in some areas. And I know that some enhancements are already being made, and there are discussions for the budget process for this year. And some of the upgrades that we're looking at are City Hall, the 41st Street poles, Normandy Fountain poles, Julia Tuttle entrance, Loomis Park overhaul, Collins Park, Alton Road, but I want to hear more from you.
Yes, so most certainly. So the city does have an inventory of holiday decor, and we supplement that, or complement that rather, with rented lighting throughout the city. Currently, our current service level is about $817,000. That's what we have allocated annually for the holiday decorations program. But in addition to that, we have made some recommendations, some areas that could be upgraded. And we've given you a menu to select from, because there is some cost estimates associated with that, and it's much higher than what we have budgeted, even higher than what we are anticipating as an enhancement for next fiscal year. So with that, we're just looking for policy direction in terms of what you would like to see enhanced, what areas, or any specific focus, and we can gather additional quotes or select from those that have been provided to you.
Okay, Commissioner Magazine, I know that you're my co-sponsor here. Are there areas in particular that you see of concern that need to have refreshed lighting? What are your thoughts?
I didn't have any particular, I think citywide, I think around the holiday time, we see such, despite the diversity in our community, various religions, or even not religious, it's something that kind of brings us all together, and especially in a town where it's one of our peak tourism seasons, it is something that leaves, I think, a good ROI, return on investment, upgrading some of this lighting. So, I think we strike a fine balance of between upgrading things in residential areas, but then, of course, in our commercial corridors, whether it be Lincoln Road or things like that, where when people are here during December and the holidays, they know it's special, right? There's something above and beyond when they would visit in September or October or April.
Elizabeth, if we bring this to the full commission, it would then go for discussion during the budget process, about the 120,000 enhancement? Okay, are you okay with that?
And I can make a motion.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move
Oh.
it. We have one
Yeah.
public comment. We
Sure.
have Daniel Seraldo. You have 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Daniel Seraldo. Actually, I think it's got the wrong name on it now, but I'm not speaking for MDPL. I'm speaking as a candidate for Miami Beach Commission Group 1, and very supportive of whatever holiday lighting can be done. Lighting helps show a sense of pride, and they have it all over other seaside towns in Europe, in the Riviera. And Miami Beach should continue on this. I also wanted to mention that this year is the centennial of Art Deco. And so whatever we could do in the fall, going up to the high season to really highlight our beautiful Art Deco buildings would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And move item number eight.
Stephanie,
Oh, yes.
can I
Commissioner
say
Bob?
something?
Yeah, we could hear you.
Yeah. Okay, I would just like to suggest that the Julia Tuttle entrance holiday decor is kind of fabulous. It doesn't always work, and I think it's more of fixing it rather than replacing it. I think it's got some warm and fuzzy associated feelings for a lot of people. So maybe one of the things to contemplate as we move forward is that we make sure that it's always working during the holiday season, like pieces of it do and pieces of it don't, rather than replacing it. And I think that the North Beach corridor, Collins from 65 to 75, and then heading west along 71st Street, the Normandy Fountain area, is really important. It is increasingly a place where tourists come and stay and make their base when they come here, as opposed to being down in South Beach. It's a different experience and a different vibe, and there are lots of people who enjoy that. And for too long, North Beach has been the redheaded stepchild who gets the leftovers at best, and often doesn't even get that. So I would definitely want to prioritize that.
Lincoln Road here.
Hi, Annabelle Yopes, Lincoln Road Business Improvement District. I just want to echo, Commissioner Magazine's statement about Lincoln Road. We are the commercial corridor of the city, and while we do have currently a small footprint of light impact during the holidays, I would love to see it be more expanded and more impactful, and have some really key decor, because not only is that the hub for our citizens, our residents, but it's also the hub of all our visitors who come here during peak season. So please keep Lincoln Road in mind. I know when Elizabeth was outlining some of the areas on the beach, Lincoln Road wasn't mentioned, so I just want to make sure that we're included in the thought process. Thank you.
Can we add that Lincoln Road to one of the contract upgrade considerations?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Item number 11 is discuss the implementation of blue light safety and emergency communication system along the beach walk and bay walk. This was sponsored by Commissioner Bott and co-sponsored by Commissioner Magazine. Fire and Police will be presenting this item.
While Fire and Police are coming up to the podiums, I just want to say that what I'm proposing is a pilot program. I think that as we are discussing how to make our neighborhoods safer, there is an opportunity to make our beach walks safer. We see nefarious things happening there. We have a tremendous number of arrests of people who are living in the dunes or hiding in the dunes. There are places that are well trafficked at many, pretty much all times of day and night. And there are also places that aren't well trafficked. And so not everybody carries a cell phone with them when they're out for, walking the dog or going for a run. Not everybody speaks English in a way that they can, you know, call 911 and ask for help. And so I think it is important to try this pilot program and make sure that we are making the city as safe for everyone, whether you're a resident, an employee, a visitor, as can be, with as many overlapping tools to effectuate that. We're talking about it with talking about gated communities and enhanced police and security measures. This is another one that we should be talking about as well.
Okay.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Captain Delvin Brown, Miami Beach Police Department, Technical Services Division. I'm here presenting on behalf of Major Garcia, who conducted this research. I'd like to enter on the record that Chief Jones is in full support of this pilot program. So we had the opportunity to meet with the sponsor and do a comprehensive assessments of locations along the boardwalk. From a technical standpoint, some of our concerns with implementing the blue light safety system would be from a network standpoint and obviously a power standpoint. How will we power these towers or, you know, poles and things like that? So we did a comprehensive study, and we identified some locations throughout the city along the beach walk, which was 22nd Street, 36th Street, 53rd Street, and 79th Street. And once we identified those locations, we determined whether or not we could have a hard wired network or have it solar powered. Based on that, we reached out. I have Sergeant Melanie Ozeda here, who contacted some of our local colleagues, FIU, University of Miami, Hialeah Police Department, who also use these type of programs. And we reached out to the vendors to get some quotes, to see what pricing would look like to install this. We have that information. And I apologize because I'm going through some notes here. One of our main concerns with this particular pilot program would be the idea that in the event that we were to engage, we need to make sure that they work, right? So that's part of the problems with, or it's part of the concerns or challenges with having these blue light towers along the beach walk. So after our research, the total approximate cost for 4 locations would be approximately $131,000. And then the maintenance that comes along with that is about $1,500 a month to cover all the locations.
And thank you. And how long would the pilot program be for? Do we have an idea?
Do we know?
I think that's, I'm not sure. That would be on the
I
sponsor.
don't think we ever discussed exactly how long
Okay.
it would be
Well,
for.
Yep. So whatever staff's recommendation is, support my colleague, Commissioner Bott here, and with the police department seemingly supporting, endorsing this, I'm fine to make a motion to move forward with the pilot program.
So I think the administration wanted some guidance on locations. So maybe we need to bring this back next month with the locations that we could move forward. Officer?
Sorry.
Captain?
Commissioner Dominguez?
Yes.
We actually have the locations identified, and this research and the costs presented in this recommendation are predicated on the particular locations that we decided upon in consultation with police officer, police enforcement, and also technical stuff being considered. That's a fancy term, technical
Okay.
stuff.
The memo didn't
So we have the
indicate that,
locations.
so why don't we send it to the full commission so that we can recommend it to FERC, given the substantial cost involved? Are you okay with that, Commissioner Bott?
I'd prefer just to go to the commission to be approved.
Let's do that.
I don't think we need to go back to FERC because in the grand scheme of our budget costs, it's not overly substantial. I mean, it's not pennies, but if it comes to public safety and we do this over the course of a year, those costs will be amortized and we will have a very robust information about if it's beneficial or if it's not necessary.
Great, so by acclamation, we'll move it to the full commission.
Okay, moving into the full commission. And then items, just for the record, item 18 and 19 will be deferred to next month since Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez is not here. And then we're going to hear item number 20, which is discuss the deployment of operations and serve robotics AI-powered sidewalks delivery robots in the city of Miami Beach. This was sponsored by Commissioner Dominguez, and Public Works will be presenting.
Thank you. So the owner of the company, Serve Robotics, had approached, saying that in different cities, they have these small little robots that make deliveries. And the idea was, why have a 2,000-pound car taking up traffic to deliver a burrito when you can have something with a smaller footprint and not taking up space on our roads? And Serve Robotics had some requests from the city to help have this happen. I think may already be piloting, because I was near the police station the other day for a meeting. When I was coming out, I saw one around the roads. But looking forward to hearing from Brad Kane of Public Works.
Good morning, Commissioner Dominguez, Commissioner Magazine, Brad Kane, Public Works Director. So, we've looked at this item, and yes, you are correct. They have not in a pilot program that's done by the city at this point in time, but they are operating within the city. There's about, I believe, 20 to 25 of them in various hotspots throughout the city. I think some of the, concerns that, have been brought up, and we most recently got some complaints that they were taking up, they were just parked in areas where potentially like ADA concerns and some spots sometimes that they end up being in, and sometimes, when they're at intersections, how they function and things like that. So I think that there's just, I think we have to look at, how we regulate them and enforce oversight with them. And I think those are some of the things that, we have to just kind of, make sure that they stay within, I guess, their lane and that they're not causing any disruptances, to our residents and community from how they operate.
Commissioner?
I really dislike these. Really dislike these. I see these in Brickell, and these are totally disruptive to pedestrian safety. And where I see them in Brickell, they are actually better equipped. The infrastructure and the sidewalks are wider. I see these operating in the Flamingo Park area, and I saw one on West Avenue. And we have sidewalks where at some times you can't have two pedestrians crossing paths without one person actually stepping aside. And if you add the robotics on here, if anybody's pushing a stroller or any type of ADA, I don't see these taking multiple thousands of pound vehicles off the road. I think this is kind of like a cute little gimmick as these companies prepare for what is next. I certainly don't think that the end goal here is, hundreds or thousands of these taking over our delivery infrastructure. This is like a pilot program to kind of work on their technology. I see no benefit to Miami Beach having this. I'm actually proposing legislation. I have no idea if my colleagues will support it or not. I'm not sure if I'm certainly bringing it forward to actually not have these in our city, because I think we've really worked on trying to declutter our streets, our sidewalks. We're already tackling, safe rights of way, creating bike paths, bike lanes. These really just throw a very chaotic wrench into things. Now, maybe when they get past some of these kinks that are worked out in other areas, they come back with a model that is better suited for our city. But I just don't think that our streets in Miami Beach, I'm sorry, our sidewalks in Miami Beach are well equipped to handle this. Now, I understand that this item isn't necessarily to get rid of this, but as it stands now, after observing things over the course of multiple months, I'm certainly not a fan of these.
Well, I'm going to push back a little. It's not that I'm a fan, but I disagree. I think that they do take cars off the road and traffic is a tremendous problem. So if there's a problem of having them on sidewalks for pedestrian safety, is this something that can be put on a bike lane? Can they be allowed to go there or a street?
I'll explain. Because of the speed, the way these robots can not only operate on sidewalks on their own in the self-driving mode, and they're supervised by remote pilots. And they're, they have some kind of insurance on them, but they can't operate on the street. They can only operate on the sidewalk because they only go up to 10 miles an hour.
Also, I don't think that we can pass legislation to eliminate them. I think we might be preempted by the state. Deputy City Attorney?
Yes, we are limited. The particular program we're talking today is whether the city wants to partner with Serve Robotics to create a pilot program where we would increase and facilitate what they do. What they're doing now, they're doing just on their own, and that is allowed under the law. We have limited jurisdiction to regulate safety issues, but as far as banning them outright, I would need to research that, but I believe you're right. We don't have that authority.
Right. Currently, they're to just help follow up on that. They're operating under Florida Statute 316-540, which is the re-registration of certain motor vehicles non-conforming with us. So that's what they're operating under now. That's what they've cited as their statute from their own people. That currently how they,
Here's what I'd propose. I'd love a discussion with the full commission so that we can brainstorm ideas. If we're preempted by the state, how can we make this better? And potentially have a partnership where we can lay down groundwork and rules. Are you okay with that, Mr. Commissioner Magazine?
Mr.
I
So I will make that.
Any public comment?
Yes, we have Commissioner Bott. If you could unmute yourself.
So I share Commissioner Magazine's concerns. We have narrow sidewalks with so much clutter and disruption. It's, I can't fathom how adding something that doesn't have, human eyesight and reactions will be able to make things better. I hear what you're saying, Commissioner Dominguez, about taking traffic off the roads, and that is a laudable goal that I share. I don't feel like this is something that is beneficial for the city at all. I think it's dangerous, and as we're working so hard to make sidewalks safer for pedestrians by getting e-vehicles off it, just throwing this into the mix makes it worse again. So I am definitely not in favor of this.
And just to reiterate, we're preempted by the state. They're allowed to be there. And this is to help lay groundwork and rules and partner with a company that's already allowed to do what they're doing. Okay, on to the next item.
Okay, our next item is number 30, discuss take action on activating the underlies spaces in Altos Del Mar Park. And this is sponsored by Commissioner Bott and co-sponsored by Commissioner Suarez.
Okay, Commissioner Bott.
So there are, Altos Del Mar is a beautiful park. It has not been historically activated in the way that other parks are, or that make significant contributions to the neighborhood. I will say that last weekend and this weekend, there are two activations. Last weekend was the holiday extravaganza, spelled EGG, extravaganza, and it was a raging success. Hundreds and hundreds of families were there. People were really psyched that there was something like this in their neighborhood. It's great to not have to co-op the sports fields behind the youth center up there, because then you can have multiple things happening up in North Beach at the same time. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to do things differently going forward. We've got an item as well. We've got an item that was just discussed at the North Beach CRA Advisory Committee. And we are going to be bringing that in a commission meeting to wire Altos Del Mar, because it was not contemplated to have electricity when the park was built. So there is an inexpensive way to expand the electricity that is park adjacent into the park, so that there can be events happening there that don't require noisy and polluting and disruptive generators. So that's coming down the pike. One of the biggest things that I want to see there is a temporary art installation, and or a permanent art installation of some sort. And as you may or may not know, there are no art in public places arts installations anywhere North Beach, except with one exception that is about to come online as part of the Ocean Terrace project. So that's great. That's our first official one. But in the meanwhile, we can do better for the residents of North Beach, and to make Altos Del Mar more active all the time. During the day when it's full of kids and families, it's great. But as the sun sets and the playground closes, it turns into a hangout spot for unsavory characters. And, the more we can activate it and disperse those folks to, ideally go away to their homes as opposed to being out in public and loitering and intimidating people and worse, the better we'll be. So I'm very excited to see, to hear the presentation that will be made by my colleagues. And with that, I'll turn it over.
Okay, so administration.
I will start. John Rebar, Parks and Recreation Director. We're approaching this as a team effort between TCD and Parks and Rec. We currently have some programming there, as Commissioner had mentioned. We did some movies in the park. We did Extravaganza on Sunday. That was Saturday. On Sunday, we did Family Archery Day. And we could continue those things without any fiscal impact. And because what we did is we had some budgeted funds for that, and we just moved the Extravaganza, so that was already funded. We do have a recommendation for a $60,000 enhancement into our budget to do additional family-friendly, resident-oriented programs. If we want to expand what we're doing today. There also is the art and cultural arm to that, which Lisette is going to speak on, because we do have the opportunity for temporary art exhibits and maybe some theater in the park that we would work collaboratively on. But Lisette, do you have anything to add?
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. Lisette Afragante, Director of Tourism and Culture, Miami Beach. As John mentioned, we are partnering with our colleagues in Parks and Recs. We're doing amazing programming up in Altos Del Mar Park. We also do TCD does the Fire on the 4th, July 4th program. This weekend we have our artistic recycling pilot program launching during Turtle Fest. On May 10th, we are doing a new event during National Pet Month through Miami Beach on-stage program. It's called Paws in the Park, and it's an event that you can bring your dog. We have pet portraits, we have DJ LaSpam DJing, we have movies playing that are pet themed, so it's a really nice family event. As it comes to the art piece, when we last presented this item, I believe last month, we presented partnering with FIU, sculpture department, different other entities, and it was suggested by the committee that we reach out to galleries in North Beach, which we did, which is Jupiter Gallery and Central Fine, they're proper fine art galleries, so they don't have like storage of artwork to exhibit. Also challenges that we found even from FIU was insurance. Obviously, we need to have funding to transport, install the artworks, and the protection of them. We also reached out to Opera Gallery, who has the current program in Bar Harbor, and they're very interested in extending what they currently do in Bar Harbor Village. However, based on their insurance, they need confirmation of security cameras, additional things to protect the artwork. And so we're still working with that with our parks team. I believe there are no cameras in that.
Correct. From a security standpoint, the park is obviously patrolled by the police department, and we have a roving ranger. But as for a security camera system within the park or 24-hour security, which I think Lisette is alluding to, that some of this artwork needs, that would need to be worked out because it doesn't exist at this time.
And so they are very interested in participating. We just have to provide an environment that protects artwork while it's there. And it would be at no cost. We mentioned that it would be similar to the Village of Bar Harbor, which they have 5 locations within the village where they do place rotating sculptures at no cost to the city. They incur all the costs to install and insurance. And what they need in return is to make sure that there are methods in place to ensure and secure the artwork.
Commissioner Bott, so do you want to move this item to the full commission?
Yeah, I would. I'd like to, if there's still folks from the police department, I'd like to ask a question of them.
Hi, good afternoon. Assistant Chief Morgallo for the Police Department.
Hello. So obviously cameras are going to be installed all the way up the beach walk. It's a long process. It's happening sequentially. Is there any possibility of putting up the Altos Del Mar section of the cameras sooner rather than later? So kind of jumping the spot in the queue in order to help facilitate this initiative?
So I'd have to speak with our technical services major, Eric Garcia, to find out what exactly needs to be done infrastructure-wise to prepare that area for either the fiber optics connections or electrical connections that are needed for cameras, and see if that is built into any of the other phases that are going to happen with regard to that project. So I'd have to do a little bit more due diligence to be able to provide you an answer.
Also, I would recommend you speak with facilities and I guess CIP to talk about this electrical boring. Maria Hernandez was talking about this in a meeting yesterday where it is a fairly inexpensive thing to bring power from an existing spot in Altos Del Mar to another spot by just sort of doing some not open trench work, but some underground boring that you can just pull the wiring from one place and move it to another. So if that's a way to do this in a stopgap manner, since we're already going to be contemplating it for Altos Del Mar for other reasons, maybe this is something that can be incorporated so that we can move forward with this art installation process.
Commissioners, John Rebar. Staff is already working on the electrical work. With your comments, we'll coordinate with the PD to see if there's anything we could do at the same time that would facilitate the camera system.
Okay, so then maybe we should bring it back here before we send it to the commission, because it sounds like we won't have all the information by April. By the April commission meeting. So does that work
I
for
think,
everyone to
Commissioner,
come
we can
back
get-
here one more time?
From the police department, I think we can get the information through Major Garcia and his team. so that we can coordinate with Parks and everyone else and have an answer by the time we go to commission. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, we'll work together.
Okay, then yeah, let's bring it to the full commission to
Okay,
discuss.
move the item, and by acclamation, we'll get it on there.
Okay, we have one public comment, Daniel Serraldo. If you could unmute yourself, you have 2 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. I actually had my hand up for the last item, if the chair would allow me
Yes,
to
of
comment
course.
on that briefly. Thank you, Chair. So actually, I really share the chair's position on this. I will tell you, as a resident of a historic district, Flamingo Park, there's nothing but joy when we see these little robots. A lot of them have hearts on them going around, children are smiling, laughing. And then more importantly, for those of us who order a lot of delivery, and I blame myself for being one of those, the efficiency of having this versus, the Uber Eats, you get one car and they cancel, then the next one. I mean, it kind of sounds like a no-brainer. Let us lean into high tech. Let us not be typical old Miami Beach, anti-everything. Let's be pro-business, pro-technology, 100% support. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we have item number 24, which is discuss adopting the City of Miami Beach Vision Zero Action Plan. This was sponsored by Commissioner Bott, and Transportation will be presenting the item.
So I'll let transportation do the detail work, but this is so important that we adopt this and orient ourselves to the goals. We are already doing a tremendous amount of the work envisioned with our micromobility task force and the work that has been done so far and is being done going forward. We are working with FDOT. In North Beach, for example, there are 4 different FDOT projects that are happening. They are not being coordinated at all. And we are going to be having a meeting with the 4 project managers all at the same time so that we can address how a change in one project might affect another project down the road. So this just is a codification of those goals and the mission and ensuring that decisions that we make as a body reflect the goals and support them and move them forward. So hopefully you will agree that this is vitally important to adopt.
Any comments from the city?
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members, Jose Gonzalez, Transportation and Mobility Director and Interim Parking Director. Commissioner Bott, I think, hit all the highlights of this plan. We're seeking your endorsement on a Vision Zero action plan. And Vision Zero is, in essence, a safety initiative that has a goal of eliminating all traffic fatalities and serious accidents in our city by the year 2040. This is a 2-step process, if you will. The action plan is the first step. It's the blueprint that will then allow us to get to the second step, which is the implementation plan. And the implementation plan, as the name implies, it's actually the plan that will make hard recommendations for different types of improvements at different locations in our city to improve safety. The statistics are really alarming. On average, our city experiences approximately 64 life-altering and fatal crashes annually, on an annual basis. 7 lives are lost every year. And a lot of cities are developing these plans to really improve the safety of everyone who uses our streets. This action plan, as I mentioned, it's really a framework that identifies what we call the 6 E's of safety: engineering, education, encouragement, evaluation, equity, and enforcement. We are hitting on all those 6 E's in partnership with internal city departments as well as our partnering agencies at the state and county level.
Okay.
And
so-
if I may just
Sure.
add one more point. Thank you. The 64 fatalities or life-altering events per year in the city is the floor of the issue. Because what doesn't get captured in that statistic is the accidents that may not have put you in the hospital for 6 months, but may have left you with a totaled car that you now have to find the money to replace because insurance never covers the cost, the replacement costs, and injuries that stay with you for years after the event. So the number in reality is much higher than 64. From personal experience, my car was totaled, and I am still dealing with an accident that happened 10 years ago. So that wouldn't have been incorporated into that 64 statistic. So again, super critical that we adopt this and use it as a guidepost as we move forward as a city.
Okay, so with that, I'll move the item and by acclamation, and we'll send it to the full commission.
Okay, we'll
So,
move it, and then just for
public
the
comment?
record, we don't have public comment, and for the record, item number 23 will be deferred to next month. That was sponsored by Commissioner Rosa Gonzalez, and we have actually public comment now.
Hi, good afternoon. Matthew Galtanoff, 125 Jefferson Avenue. I can't speak any more highly of the importance of this action plan, adopting it, and then ultimately leading to implementation of a plan to reduce the number of fatalities in the city to 0 within the next 15 years. This is probably the biggest public safety item facing the city. It doesn't garner that much attention, but you heard it. There are dozens of people that are seriously impacted every single year, and over the last 5 years, dozens of people have been killed as well on our streets, whether they're in a car, on the bike, or on their foot. So really is something important. I know that the 7 of you on the city commission and the staff, everyone understands this, and it really is an important project. I think it was funded by the U.S., it was funded by a grant from the United States Department of Transportation. It's really important, and hopefully many of the items that have been outlined in here will lead to positive impact and making our city safer for everyone. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. And
So
then,
I think with that, that concludes all the items that we were available to go over today. Thank you, everybody, for being here,
Thank you.
and the meeting is adjourned.